Welcome to the Irresistible Woman podcast, your place to learn how to attract the right man this year with confidence and ease. I'm your host, Madeline Charles, and I wanted to bring you a really special episode today centered around the Irresistible Woman Activation Live because we have officially swung open doors for registration. And I wanted to just put a really important piece of the puzzle together in today's episode, where last week I was giving you a little bit of context around why this event is so special, what we're doing differently for our fifth year. And I know that it can be great to hear those types of things and be like, wow, like that sounds inspiring, or that sounds like something I might be interested in. But then I know when it comes to an in-person coaching experience where there might be flights and accommodations and things involved, a few extra steps and just, watching something online or listening to this podcast, there can be this question around like, okay, but who's going to be in the room with me? Like if I am a high level woman who is discerning about where my time goes and who I spend my time with, and I know that who I surround myself with really influences me and impacts me, I'm going to want to make sure that the women I'm in an event with are of my caliber and that this room is going to facilitate the type of transformation it says it does. And so I was reflecting over the last 4 years of running this event, and I remembered some of my very favorite client attendee stories where they weren't just passively learning information, they were making real moves in real time. And I wanted to highlight those stories here today because I know I am always inspired when I hear what is possible tangibly, like when other women have demonstrated what it means to say yes to an opportunity like this. So I wanted to give this episode a little bit of airtime today, really as like a permission slip, because I'm going to share a few different client stories, and chances are you're going to see yourself in them, maybe not in their exact situation and what they were coming in with, but you're probably going to sense yourself in some of the core themes of what we get into at this event. And my intention is that by the end of this episode, you're going to be really clear on if this feels like the space for you. So, this is not just like rattling off success stories. This is truly about who women become inside this experience, the decisions they had to make to arrive in the room, and what happened once they were there, and showing you that women arrive at this event from all different starting points. Some of them have been single for a very long time. Some of them are actively dating, but they're not really finding that any connection is sticking into something substantial. Some women are coming in a situationship where there's a guy in the picture, but he's not fully choosing her. Some women come in already happily married, even, and they are just looking for that next level to go in their relationship. But the thing that they all have in common is that they have been consuming online content, right? And they're like, okay, I know that this can only take me so far. And I think that so many women can relate to this right now, where there is endless relationship advice online. And there's just like, there's no shortage of things that you can be listening to, reading, following along with. But where even the most incredible online information falls short is that by nature, it's consumed privately, right? Like you're listening to this podcast right now, and maybe you're on a walk, or you are folding the laundry, or you're driving, or whatever. And it's just you, right? So whether it's a podcast, TikToks, YouTube, Reels, books, nervous system content, you're hearing it, but you're still absorbing that information inside the context of your regular life, a life that is reflective of past decisions, past identity, past emotional patterns, right? And so it can be challenging to have things really drop in and stick. Like you might have insight, you might have an aha moment, but for it to be like, oh, this is really actually changing me, and there's a line in the sand moment, it is much more challenging to facilitate that within the confines of your current environment. We put women in this room together. Women are attracted from all over the world to be in this space, face to face, heart to heart, because physically changing your environment, co regulating your nervous system, getting in proximity with other women who are up to big things, it changes you on a cellular level very quickly. So, like I said, women arrive at this event for different reasons, but they all leave with something bigger. Some women come just wanting to understand why they've been single and what they've been missing, like those blind spots that they aren't able to fully uncover on their own. Some women come because they are seeking a greater level of confidence. Maybe they lost touch with their feminine spark a while ago and they're wanting to just reconnect to themselves, feel good in their bodies again. Some women don't even exactly know what they need. They're like, I don't know what I'm looking to get out of this, but I'm excited to see what's on the other side. And regardless of why women are drawn to this space, again, the one thing they have in common is that they often have deeper and more immediate shifts than they even anticipated. So I want to share now some of my very favorite uh, client stories that demonstrate this. And again, the intention is for you to really hear yourself in these stories and hear the thread of possibility, hear the thread of courage, because all of these women came from out of town, right? They all had reasons why it wasn't the best time, all of that, and they still chose themselves. And that's what this event really also is an opportunity for. It's an opportunity to recommit and to yourself and reprioritize yourself, right? To say, you know what, it actually is worth me taking the time away from my daily routine. Maybe I have to get childcare, I have to get a dog sitter, I've got to take time off work, I've got to say no to other things to say yes to myself in a way that maybe I haven't been for a long time. And that in itself is so impactful. All right. So, in no particular order, I was just like, I want to share these because they're so good. So, I remember this woman, Melissa, that attended the event and she came and was like, you know what? Like, I work from home. I live in a very virtual digital world and it's great, but I've been missing that human connection point. And she was feeling kind of isolated, just kind of consumed by screens. I think we can all relate to that. And things were feeling kind of flat in her love life. She was just kind of going through the motions, craving that more human connection and aliveness. And I remember she was like, I'm really surprised by the depth of material here. Like, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but wow, I'm having emotional breakthroughs, the quality of conversations with the other women. Like, it's really changed me seeing other women open up, be honest, and, vulnerable in what they're navigating. And she said, it's reminded me what it's like to feel alive around other women again. So she left that event. And I also remember she was like, I've been listening to the podcast for a long time, but like it doesn't touch what you can do actually face to face, where it's not just like a one-way line of communication, like you're listening to me, but we can actually be in a dialogue together, right? I can actually see you and coach you in real time, whereas the podcast is just like a one-to-many universal message. So she left that event and shortly after met a great guy, got engaged. They're now married with their first child. And I remember um, sharing her story about the event and how it transformed her. And she wrote in and was like, oh my gosh, Madeline, like that's me. Like, I love seeing that you're highlighting my story. And I just want to remind women that like it's not too late. Anything is possible. But like this event can be a really powerful starting point. So I just love seeing how Melissa honored that desire for herself for that more intimate connection and was like, yeah, like the virtual, the screens, like they all serve a purpose. And if there's something different available, I want to lean into that and really honor the fact that that is something that I'm craving. Maybe you can relate. Okay. I also think about Hannah, who came to the event and she was talking to a guy. She was in what we might call a situationship. Um, and I think she came in feeling a little bit like her self-worth wasn't as strong as it could be. And oftentimes, when you're in a dating dynamic where a guy isn't fully choosing you, he's not really clear in his pursuit, he's kind of giving mixed signals, hot and cold, that typically is a standards problem, right? And so we were talking a lot at the event about raising our standards. What does it mean to have really strong boundaries? Like, what does it mean to claim exactly what you want and not settle for less? And in that conversation, Hannah had this light bulb moment where she was like, oh my gosh, I think I have been settling. And I think this dating situation I've been in is not it. And I've been just kind of like waiting to see what he does, hoping that he steps up, and it's not happening. And I don't think I want to wait for that anymore. And so I will never forget, she said in front of everyone in the room, I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to break it off with him. And we were like, yes, okay, incredible. Like she finally had the clarity, she had the courage, and she was leveraging the collective momentum of energy of women in transformation to be able to do something that she probably knew she needed to do for a long time, but it finally was coming into focus and it finally became so evident that she couldn't ignore it any longer. And that is what happens when you are having conversations all day about going bigger, going to the next level, no longer holding yourself back, no longer playing into old patterns. The things that are out of alignment become so painfully obvious, but you're able to move through them quickly and effectively because you are in a space where it's like, hey, I don't want to go home still carrying this. I don't want to go home still saying that I'm a match to this. So I need to do something in real time. So Hannah came back the next day and was like, yep, I'm happy to report. I called it off. I feel amazing. Like I would not have done that had I not been in this space. And that was so incredible because she didn't necessarily need more advice. She really needed a powerful reflection of what she really deeply wanted and where she wasn't allowing herself to have it. Now, other women have used the collective momentum of the space to finally like put up their online dating profile or to go out that evening in Denver dancing and like flirting with men and just getting back in their bodies and feeling good. Like it's really cool when you take the moment to say, what am I not leaving here with? What am I stepping into on the other side of this? And how do I act now, right? Like make the move on the thing that really is going to propel me forward. And there is something just incredible about being like, okay, I see other women taking courageous action right here, right now. If not now, when? Let's go. Let's do it. I know that I'm going to be supported, held, encouraged through this process. So, what better time than here at the event to do the thing that I need to do? So, I love that because had Hannah not been at the event, who knows? Maybe she would have spent months longer in a situation with a guy who was not it. Right. And so when we think about the upfront time investment, the financial investment to come to the event, like some of these things that could feel like a challenge or a burden, when you think about what you get back, right? When you think about how much time and energy you actually save by having a concentrated, immersive experience around getting clear, building your confidence, doing the thing you need to do to move yourself forward, it's like, wow, I could have spent the rest of the year circling the same patterns, looping in something that just wasn't going to serve me. Or I can come to this event and like draw that line in the sand and leave in a completely different place. And that's what Hannah did. So I thought that was so cool. We love to see it. And then I also think about this woman, Nora, who came simply as a plus one for my client. She was the sister of my client. And so she's like, I'm just here to like check out Denver. And like, I just figured if, if my sister had another ticket, like I would just come see what's up. But she's like, I'm happily married. So like, I don't exactly know what I'm going to get out of this. And this was at a time where the event really was targeted more towards single women specifically. We've since expanded it to make it really applicable to women who are single and partnered because love patterns run the same no matter what. So when we are coming into this year's event, it's really around raising your standards for how men respond to you. And that is, again, relevant no matter where you are in the dating and relationship journey. So Nora came in and was like, I'm just kind of here to like hang out. I don't exactly know what's going to go on. And she was really surprised at the end of it. I will never forget. She was like, wow, I didn't know that this was really going to like speak to me, but I am seeing places in my great marriage where I can go from great to excellent. I can see places where we can go even deeper in our intimacy and connection. I can see places where maybe we were getting a little bit stagnant and we weren't thriving in the way that we could. So she had realized like, oh, I think I had been kind of like over functioning a little bit, or I had been kind of, pushing things forward and not leaving space for my man to lead and step up. I think I could tap back into my playfulness. I think that I could bring a sense of intentionality back into my marriage instead of just going through the motions. So I think that that is a great example of what becomes available to you if you already are in something that feels great. There's always another level. There's always a deeper place of connection and intimacy you can get to. And I think a wonderful thing you can do if you are in a great relationship is stay ahead of anything that would cause you to fall into, a pattern where you're drifting apart or resentment is building. So you can even think about it as like being proactive and divorce proofing your marriage, which I think is awesome. So we love Nora's example around that. And then I think about my client, Kelly, who came in and she ended the weekend being like, it just feels so nourishing as a woman to be here. And that is like truly the best thing that anyone could say because what she was speaking to is something that I think a lot of us can relate to, right? Like so many of us are used to just constantly outputting, performing, producing, caretaking, leading, solving problems. And for us to feel like we can set all of that aside for a few days and come back into a place where we are being poured into, we are being supported, we are being witnessed, not just celebrated for our accomplishments and how much we get done, our productivity, but we are really celebrated for our innate feminine gifts. Like we don't get that often in our day to day life. So, stepping into this environment for some of us, it's like my other client I was saying where she was like, okay, like I got to cut off the situationship, like I got to make a move, and it's very action oriented and it's very like, whoo, things are alive and buzzing. And for other women, it's like, oh, I actually just need a space where I can exhale. I need a space where I can hear myself again. I need a space where my deepest truth and intuition can bubble up from underneath and I can get that clear sense of my yes and no and what that means for me moving forward. I need a space where I can just laugh. Like, I need a space where I can just be. I need a space that reminds me of beauty and connection and luxury. I need a space where I can be really honest. Right. And I don't necessarily like, I'm not being honest so I can be fixed or because there's a big problem to solve, but because that's not something that I am always able to do. Maybe you don't feel like you have a space right now where that level of honesty is going to be reflected, where it's going to be safe, where it's going to be supported. Maybe you're in a space where it's like, I don't even, again, know what my deepest truth is anymore. Like maybe that's been kind of buried under the busyness of daily life. Maybe I don't have that strong support system of women who are also growing and evolving and can normalize my desire for more, who are not going to try to talk me down from the bigness of my love vision, who are not going to try to minimize my desires, who are not going to feel threatened by me, right? Like when you are a powerful, influential woman, most spaces just don't feel like they fit you because you are operating on a different level. And so to be in a space where it's like, hey, bring it all, like bring it on. We want to see your bigness. We want to see you shine. This is not a space for competition or comparison or sisterhood wounds. That can be really healing and transformative. And with Kelly, I think what she was speaking to here when she said it feels so nourishing as a woman to attend this, I think she was speaking to this collective feeling that a lot of us have that many women don't realize how starved for connection they are with spiritual, successful females until they experience a room like this, right? They're like, sure, I have friends and like I've got people in my life, but there is something different about being in a curated space with women who have similar goals, similar desires, similar patterns, and things they're working through. It feeds us as women in a way that nothing else really touches. Okay, final story I have to share here. My incredible client, Kim, she arrived at the event as a widow. She had only lost her husband like a year ago. It was pretty fresh. And she was in this inquiry around, like, how do I know when I'm ready to date again? She was like, I think I'm ready, but it's a big step. Like, I haven't dated in a long time. What does it mean about my husband's memory and legacy if I do start dating? And so we were trying to kind of suss this out. She was carrying grief, she was carrying uncertainty, the fear of opening back up. And we had a private one-on-one conversation to the side. I'll never forget. We were like sitting on the couch uh, in our beautiful event space. And yeah, I was asking her some deeper questions, helping her find that clarity. And what she shared, I was like, I actually think you are ready. I think you can trust that. And sometimes we are more ready than we recognize in ourselves. And we need that powerful mirror and reflection to really own it. So it was like, hey, like, yes, permission to live again, permission to want love again, permission to, move forward without guilt. And shortly after that, she was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to start dating. She met an incredible man. They are now living together. They go on trips to Italy where he pays for everything. Like they are thriving. She is so happy. She's in a relationship that is much different than that of her previous marriage because she didn't just feel, oh, I'm ready to date again and I'm going to now attract someone very similar. She also did the work around how do I feel safe receiving in a deeper way than I had previously? How do I not just carry patterns from the past forward? How do I use restarting my dating experience as a way to be super intentional and give myself a second chance at designing something exactly the way I want, as opposed to, again, just repeating what I once had. So these are just a few examples of some of the shifts that become available inside this space. And I also reflect on how far people have come. People have come in from China, Hawaii, Canada, all over the US, the UK. Uh, it really blows me away every year, but I think that it demonstrates the fact that when a woman really wants something, she will go to any length, right? When she is connected to how this room is going to expand her, it's like, I will climb a mountain to get there. Like, no big deal, right? And I think it also speaks to the significance of this space because women are not traveling across the world just for surface level dating advice. They come because they want a different experience of themselves. They want immersion, they want expansion, they want embodiment, they want connection. And they don't just want, more insight up here. They want it to really drop into their bodies so that when they return home, they're not just going through the status quo motions again. They're actually operating from a very different level. Women actually leave with courage, standards, softness, clarity, self-trust, emotional expression, sisterhood, momentum, possibility, feeling alive again, evidence that the type of relationship they want actually exists. And there is nothing like that. Like, I don't think you can put a price tag on that. But if this is feeling like, oh, it's stirring something up in you, you recognize yourself in one of these client stories, or even, again, if not the specifics, just the true line in the sand moment where a woman chose herself by saying yes, and then she got way more than she was expecting on the other side. I want you to really pay attention to that pool because it means that you're meant to be there with us. And I would love to welcome you in. I would love to be with you face to face in person where I can make a much bigger difference and just be talking to you through this screen. So I want to gently remind you that registration is officially open for the Irresistible Woman Activation Live. It's this November 5 through 7 in Denver, Colorado. It is our fifth year, which is just it is something else. And we are going bigger and better this year with not just me leading the event around raising the standards for how men respond to you, really going deep into all things, becoming that secure, alive, feminine woman, deeply connected to her desires, not settling for anything. But we are also bringing in curated, hand selected guest speakers around wealth creation, embodiment and personal style, health, and energetics so that you are being nourished as the whole woman because how you show up in your love life is how you're probably playing out things in every area of your life. And I want you to leave feeling elevated just across every dimension as a woman. So I can't wait to share more of what we got cooking up for you. But this is, again, more than just a dating event. It's beyond whether you're single or partnered. This is really a room where women change how they experience themselves, and that creates a lasting shift that you just can't get anywhere else. So, I want to mention before we wrap up, I'm offering something really special for my podcast listeners because you guys are like my family. It deeply moves me that you tune in every week. It means the world. And so I wanted to offer you as well a $50 coupon code for the live event. You simply have to type in the coupon code podcast when you go to the checkout page in the show notes, and that will bring your event ticket investment down as just a little thank you for tuning in and listening. And I can't wait to see you there. So until next time, keep shining your love light and bye for now.